They have to start to understand that, and I think this is why nation-state adoption is important, because if they understand that, then they have to effectively deregulate money, and they have to just treat money as something that can freely flow. And I don't know if that will happen first in Europe or other places, but it's more likely that it will happen in other places because the incentives in Europe still are to protect the old system, which doesn't really function anymore. But they're still going to protect it until they can no longer, until it doesn't work anymore. But that could be very soon because it's all coming apart as we sit here. And Bitcoin, of course, is gaining more and more dominance. So I'm hoping the European Central Bank releases more FUD because their last piece sent us up on a nice bull run. But we have to engage them. I don't think if we just sit back, they'll figure it out on their own. It's going to be us talking to them and trying to make things better. But a part of that making things better is also fixing or optimizing prior legislation. There's a lot of conflicting legislation, and things don't really make sense because, again, if you're a lawmaker, you're paid to make laws. That's your job. Just like if you're a central banker, you're paid to print money. And we don't have yet the concept of a law optimizer or law remover. So the law just gets more and more convoluted and complex, where the weaponization of that law is a real danger. And that is probably the biggest threat to people's liberties than anything else at this time. The fact that the governments can just arbitrarily select some laws and just throw you in the gulag.
비트코인은 역사를 다시 쓸 위기에 처해 있습니다. 기조연설에서 비트코인 전문가 샘슨 모우가 발표한 최신 인터뷰인데요. 샘슨은 비트코인을 국가 차원에서 채택하는 것이 비트코인을 글로벌 경제에 널리 수용하고 통합하는데 왜 중요한지에 대한 통찰력을 공유했습니다. 그는 법정 화폐 시스템의 낡은 방식이 명백히 무너지고 붕괴 직전에 있기 때문에 비트코인 채택이 불가피하다고 강조했습니다. 샘슨은 청정 에너지 생산을 장려하고 국가 경제 성장에 기여하는 능력을 포함하여 비트코인 채굴의 장점을 강조했습니다. 샘슨이 현재 중앙은행이 비트코인에 반대하는 이유에 대한 영상을 끝까지 봐보겠습니다.
I believe Bitcoin has more transformative effects outside of just being sound money. It changes people as well in general. So it makes you better people, and governments are made of people. So hopefully we can get better politicians, better regulators, better everything. And I believe that's also part of how we win. So we're working, engaging, and trying to orange pill the governments and the politicians and the presidents. We're slowly going to get there, and it's going to be a challenging path because governments are not quickly moving agile entities. They're very slow, but I believe that some people do see the benefit of Bitcoin, and we just have to keep pressing on those points and trying to make them see the light, see the orange light. It's difficult to go in there and say Bitcoin is sound money, 21 million, immutable, permissionless, all that stuff, because that will fall on deaf ears. What we try to do at Gen 3 is go with the approach of solving problems. So do you want to reach some ESG goal? Then maybe we can talk about mining and getting rid of flare gas. And this is an approach we took in Colombia, because I don't think that they would go on the sound money route at all. Or legislate Bitcoin to be a legal tender, or deregulate in the case of Argentina. But we went in with the mining and ESG goal alignment. And I think that works for them. Other places, like in Indonesia, we engaged with the previous governor there, and they were interested in basically generating money to do other things. So we talked about how mining could tap into excess energy, stranded energy, all sorts of types of energy they have. Because a lot of the developing world, the global south, they actually have a lot of energy, but just no way to access that. So that was that discussion point. But generally, it's about trying to find things that they are interested in and how Bitcoin can help them on what they want to do. You just have to keep repeating the message that that's not the case. And I believe Christine Lagarde was, or ECB was community noted on Twitter X, and people just said fiat money is used for more money laundering. So I think it's just, they're going to repeat their talking points, and we repeat our talking points, and fortunately we have more time on our side, and we have Bitcoin on our side. So eventually we should win out. But we do have to keep on repeating and countering the FUD, because that's their livelihood, right? If you're a central banker, you need to tell people that you're valuable and you do something other than printing money, which you don't, and that you provide a valuable service, right? It's like their job is to nail nails into walls, and that is what they're going to do, and they can't do anything else. So they're going to tell you that nailing nails into the wall is very important and stabilizes the economy. But at the end of the day, people know, people understand, and I think there is a very strong grassroots movement of Bitcoin adoption in Europe, and it's kind of not as strong elsewhere in the world. But in Europe, the people, the plebs, the ordinary Bitcoiners, they know what's wrong with the economy. They know what's wrong with the money. So they're going to run the nodes. They're going to stack sats, and eventually they will affect change. And the ways that we affect change are to find ways to engage. So in Germany, we're working with Bitcoin in Bundestag. That's an initiative put on to bring Bitcoiners into the German parliament to educate them on what Bitcoin is and what benefits Bitcoin can bring. And these kind of initiatives are very powerful because it's a direct way for us to interface with the powers that be. So I often talk about what is the important part of nation-state adoption, and that is the grassroots part. The top-level part, engaging with governments, is the way that we can make things better. But the foundation is you guys here sitting in the stadium and talking about Bitcoin and telling more people about Bitcoin, because this is what grounds it. And we see cases where Bitcoin adoption fails because there is no grassroots anchor. So Central African Republic, they've announced that they're doing something with Bitcoin. They did their own token, and then they flip-flopped and abolished the thing and put it back in. And I believe that's largely because there was no grassroots initiative there, nothing grounding it. It's just the government trying to make some money. But this is what keeps the government honest. It's the people. You have to hold them accountable. So without this, there can be no Bitcoin adoption. So it's really important that we focus on the grassroots and getting real Bitcoin adoption happening. A lot of countries do have excess power. They're just